Gonna work. Hello. How are you guys? How are you this Sunday? Scott is just getting in and give me 1 second.
Okay. Look, let me in.
But the problem is because I'm trying y'all to do Instagram too, but it's having feedback, so give me a hot second to figure this out. I can just mute myself.
I muted mine too.
Wait, not like we're listening to
So that should.
anybody.
Well, no, the mic is not working. Yeah. Did you hear me?
Can you guys hear Scott okay?
Can you hear me?
It is picking up both of us.
It is? Okay.
It's saying it's picking up both of us.
As long as it's projecting both of us too.
Yeah. Yes. Sandy said yes. Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Scott and I did our best to try to get like prepped and set up for this, and hopefully you can hear him better. Oh, you may sorry, y'all. This is like our first time with this.
Am I in the video? I'm watching YouTube and I'm not there.
You have to go to the invite.
I did go to the invite. Did you allow me in the studio?
I don't know. Sounds muffled and choppy. Is that any better, Joey? I fixed it. The decibels. Worst case, we'll just go back to my
There we go. All right. And
which side? Worst case, we'll go back to my other mic.
yes.
So y'all let me know how the quality sounds because this is our first time using these microphones. Okay, let's get started. Hi, Katie. Hi, Jess, Sandy, Tim. Thank you for letting me know about that. You can hear Sandy. Okay. It's just not as clear as usual. It's because we're using different microphones. That is probably why. But if y'all would prefer, we can just go back to the laptop microphone. Scott can just talk louder.
How is it clear for me talking right now?
It's not, yeah, this is not as good as usual. Let me just switch back to the other microphone. Well, Scott and I will deal with this. We literally just got these last night, so I didn't have time. Let me just change back the audio.
Okay.
Now, can you guys hear us?
How about now? Do I sound better?
Hopefully you can hear us now. Here, just turn those off. Okay. Here we go. Finally got stuff fixed with it. Well, Scott and I have to figure out more about these, but we just picked them up yesterday, so we haven't had time to kind of fiddle with them. Anywho.
We did fiddle with them for like half an hour this morning.
Well, I haven't had enough time to fiddle with them. They're not here to listen to us fiddle about microphones. How are your guys' Sunday? I'm actually enjoying doing this slightly early. The sun is still not quite up, but we are in the Pacific Northwest. It's 3 outside. That is why my feet are cold. Now I'm okay. Thank you. This week has been an excellent week. An excellent week. I would love to hear how your guys' week is going. Like in all honesty, I weighed myself this morning. I lost 2 more pounds. I'm excited about that. I'll be very curious next week when my body's kind of adjusted to all of the exercising I've been doing. If I see even bigger whoosh, I can also tell you I have jeans on right now. I don't want to knock the laptop off and show you guys, but they are not nearly as snug, which is awesome. Hi, Karen. Anywho, if you guys have questions, throw them in the comments.
I'd like to know what kind of habits you guys have been like trying to build.
Oh.
We've been working on this for 10 days now. And just, the
No,
habits.
today's day 12. Today is day 12. And I can tell you, I can actually, because before people are like, oh, it looks like you lost weight in your face. I'm like, But I can actually say, I can tell that right here, I have definitely lost some in my face. And that feels pretty good. Joy said, I'm doing terrible. Oh, I'm doing pretty terrible. I'm having such a hard time staying on track with me, trying, but I don't know what's wrong with me. There is nothing wrong with you, Joey. Here is what you need to do. You need to leave it out. You need to go to the bookstore today, no joke, and go get this book. I am not kidding you. Like, I've read so many books over the years. I love reading anyways. This book, I wish I had had this book before I started. I wish I had this book 20 years ago. I don't even know if it was out there, but when I started this journey with Carnivore, it teaches you how to take bites out of things like, if let's say you're a junk food addict, and the video I did, was it today or tomorrow? I don't remember. Things are merging together. He talks about in chapter 7 that what happens is when we have what we call bad habits, so let's say eating junk food, it's like a Gordian knot. And what happens is a lot of times we try to attack the most inner knot, and it's just so knotted up that we might succeed a little bit untangling it slightly, but then eventually we can't do it and we quit because it's so tangled and so hard. Versus what we do is, let's say, eating junk food as a bad habit you want to quit. So it's a very odd habit, right? Eating junk food. Well, maybe you get a cappuccino in the morning. Maybe you have a snack bowl on your desk and you eat candy, during the day. And then maybe at lunch, if you're packing lunch, you have pizza. And like the list goes on of all the little habits that make up the junk food habit. It really encourages starting with the smallest, easiest thing you can tackle. Instead of doing that cappuccino, you can either get like a black coffee with cream or make your own coffee. Start there, get that habit down, and you start eroding at the other junk food habits. So eventually, when you are ready to get rid of the habit completely, it's gone from a knot this big to this big because you've chopped off chunks of the habit, and it makes it permanent. So there's nothing wrong with you. And the book teaches you step by step how to create good habits or new habits, how to deal with the bad habits or how to replace them. I love this book, y'all. It is the blueprint on how to do it. Okay. If Diane, she's always in our book club, if she was here, she would be cheering me on with this book. She loves it too.
I want to kind of point out that, like, for Amanda, her 1 minute all day left goal. For me, if I get something to drink, or either one of us, and I do one push up. Mm-hmm. And one push up is now so easy that I do two. And it's just.
No, nothing. I'm literally just looking at you.
And, Amanda's been doing pretty much 2 minutes on that.
2 minutes for past 7 days or more. Sometimes I did 2.5.
Yeah.
Go me.
And it's just like, it's such a little, and then you feel so good about it. And I found that, like, things might happen during the day, we're going to get some bad news or something's not working well, and we decided, and that, go pick up the dog, and get something done that helps rebuild our momentum throughout the day, and we do more stuff. Like, we had a workout, like, it was like my third workout, and then I was feeling tired, and I was tired, a bunch of stuff was getting done, and I'm like, let's do a workout. And she wasn't expecting it, but that, like, just a push, did it. Great, we worked out.
Hold on a second. Y'all, I'm gonna to those on Instagram, y'all, I'm gonna just close this temporarily till Scott and I can figure it out because it's affecting the YouTube stream too. So Scott and I sometimes we will get this
out. Instagram's not working? Anyways, my point is that when you do the small things, like, pick up a few paperwork that you left on the kitchen table or your desk, or do a few dishes, or, walk the dogs 5 minutes. Like, those little tasks help you feel.
Sound is really garbled. Good. I just closed the
Should I
Instagram.
turn mine sound on?
No, because it'll cost feedback. I just killed the other feed, y'all. Can you tell me if you can hear us? This is interesting because this is actually the first time we've had problems with sound before.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Let me try one other thing. All right, I tried. Okay, that's way better. Okay, so I think it might be trying to feed to Instagram and YouTube at the same time. I don't know. I'll look at it. It could be our internet. Okay. That's a thing with us. Sorry.
I could work on slowing down how I'm speaking too.
Okay, go ahead. I'm so sorry. I just saw they were saying it was hard to hear.
Oh, well,
my apologies.
Basically, all I'm saying is that when you have tiny habits, tiny things that you work on and accomplish, it gives you dopamine. Dopamine is your motivation molecule. It helps you want to do more and do other things. So small things help you do other small things. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I missed some stuff. I've been true and accident-free more days in a row than last month in total. Woo woo! Yes. Right. And that's the thing is I know we all want to be perfect, but none of us are. And I find striving for that perfection just makes me fall even more. Like Jess said, that book is a life changer. Yes, I love that book, y'all. Oh, thank you, Danita. It's $8 if you don't have any credits. Sometimes, okay, hot tip, y'all, on Audible, I always check what the cost of the book is because sometimes the book is cheaper than buying the actual credit because it's $15.99 a month for one credit. You can buy 3 credits for like $35 at one time, but you have to do it you have to go through Amazon, then the Audible thing. It's cheaper that way, let me tell you. But also sometimes the books are cheaper if you just pay for them. Joey, I always hated dark meat chicken and I don't eat pork, never did well with beef. I'm trying to eat in a way I don't find yummy while others go crazy for fries. Something I can tell you is your taste will change dramatically as you cut out the sugar and stuff. It will change dramatically. I hate to admit this. Scott made eggs and bacon yesterday. I took a bite of the egg and thought, yum. It was very weird. Because I just usually don't like eggs. I can eat them over medium. That's about the way I don't love them. I don't hate them. But I actually took a bite yesterday. I didn't tell you. And I was like, oh, this egg bite is actually good. So your taste will adapt and change. Just give yourself time. Because as the sugar and stuff gets out, your taste buds it does. Mm-hmm. It does.
Fat tastes so much better.
It does. It does. Excuse me. Mary, what's your advice for people that question everything you eat on a holiday? They're very pushy too. Those people, I don't even bother talking to them about carnivore or keto or anything. So
most of the time the advice is just say you're doing low carb. A lot of people understand low carb, and that's a very broad discussion.
True.
Right? So, saying I'm cutting back on my cake. I'm only going to have one piece instead of 2, or, one piece of pie instead of 4, or, one helping of mashed potatoes instead of 2. Just explain it that way, and if you have no carbs at all, they may not even notice. And harangue you.
I usually tell people eating this makes me feel really bad, so I don't want to eat it, and I leave it at that. Because if they're just like, eat it, it's like, I just told you it made me feel bad, so maybe you need to kind of question why you're pushing this on me. If I tell you eating this makes me physically feel bad, that's what I do. I just tell them it makes me feel bad. And what we're doing for Christmas, because Scott has been very irritated about the holidays, and him and I are the only ones doing hard carnivore. My brother's trying, but my sister-in-law, she's not a binge eater, but she definitely is a sugar addict. Y'all, like she wouldn't admit it, but she is. She brings sugar home all the time.
Sugar is bad. Yeah, or she does not believe sugar is addictive. And so she always has treats in the house.
Always. And my brother is a binge eater. Thankfully, he's never been like overweight like I am, like maybe 20 or 30 pounds, but he struggles with like sitting and eating an entire box of cookies. Thankfully, they have like a farm, so he's pretty physically active. So what I decided for Christmas, instead of doing Christmas dinner, we're going to do Christmas brekkie. We're doing breakfast. It is, if he makes waffles, I don't care. I can easily walk past them. Bacon, eggs, done. I don't have to worry about cake. Y'all, cake is my thing. And so I was able to arrange with everybody to avoid that. So there you go. Jen, tomorrow will be my day 30 on Carnivore. Woo woo! I'm almost down 18 pounds. Congratulations. I'm starting to feel lighter. Your 365 videos are inspiring me to start moving more daily in self-care. Yes. I am glad. You know what? They've been helping me, and I'm glad they've been helping everybody else, because that is so important, showing up for ourselves. And I realized a couple days before I started the 365 videos, I had not been showing up for myself. Like, ever since Rosie died, if you're not a dog person, you probably don't understand very well, but she was like my soul dog. Ever since she died, I was just dragging and struggling and doing terrible. And then I realized I hadn't showed up for myself with being consistent with moving, other than walking the dogs, but exercising. And I actually enjoy exercising, and also having full integrity in what I was eating and why and all this and blah, 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 blah.
I'd like to bring up something about, so Amanda's first 8 months, and this is where we really like Tiny Habits and Atomic Habits. I like Atomic Habits in the sense of it really teaches you the framework, and Tiny Habits teaches the details of the how. Anyways, she developed a habit that she was, one, highly motivated, and it was easy to do a little bit every day. She wanted to walk Rosie and get Rosie healthy. So she's had a high motivation and the ease of doing something. So it was like a little bit of dishes, a little bit of vacuuming, walking a few houses, and then walking a few more houses. And so she kept building on that day after day. And so after, 8 months, and that's really when Rosie died, was about 8 months after.
It was 10 months. At my 10 months, she died.
Well, it was March. We started in June, so 9 months.
9 months, okay. We'll split the difference.
But she built a habit we didn't realize. And so by doing those small steps and having that motivation of something she really wanted, we built that. And then she lost that because she's like, she was doing all this for Rosie, not for herself. And so now it's really kind of learning how to get back.
Well, it wasn't just for Rosie, but she was my biggest motivator.
Yeah, she was the biggest motivator. Like, oh, great, I can do this, and I'm getting healthy too, and I'm eating well, and Scott's eating well, and he's losing weight. I mean, all of these things kind of going on. But ultimately, it was about small habits that we developed very early on that just built. Because, I mean, there was times where, half an hour doing dishes she was done for 3 or 4 hours. That's all she could do.
I couldn't even do half an hour. Are you kidding me? I used to have to literally lift my stomach and set it on the sink. I had to put my stomach on the sink because my back would hurt so bad I couldn't stand more than a couple minutes. I did that and I felt shame and stuff, but I realized I was not going to keep going the way I was going.
Now I bring this up because part of the 365 is finding her motivation again. Amanda is a very, I want to see it, touch it type of person. She's not a very conceptual in the future. It's like, do you not want to have a child? Well, yes, of course I want to have a child, but there's not a baby right now. There's not a baby cooking right now, and she's not motivated, right? So
there's
now
not a baby cooking right now.
That's right. So for her, seeing and touching progress every week, a little bit of weight loss, or a little bit more strength, or a little bit more walks, all those type of things are something that she needs to actually build her habits with. However you work, that's what you need to kind of think of and work on your habits that way. What is motivating you? What will help you see the results so that you want to do more? Start small. The
problem with the baby thing is, and Tiny Habits talks about this, is that is a reward. Yeah. It's not something that it's so far in the future that it would take so many steps to get there. It just seems impossible. And so it's viewed as a reward in the sense of our mind that, have you ever tried to lose weight saying, hey, if I lose 20 pounds, I'll buy myself a massage? How many times did that work? It never worked for me, ever. Because a reward is something far into the future versus what the book teaches you is celebrating every little thing. And that's why every time I finish the elliptical, I'm like, yes, good job, Amanda. The small things, I give myself nods. I praise myself for the small things because it makes me want to do more. I'm not even sure how or where we got started with that, but Grateful Keto, stand your ground without getting mad. Yeah. And that's what I said. It doesn't make me feel good, and let it be like that. So don't tell them how to eat and don't let them tell you how to eat. Yeah. You just have to be willing to. A lot of times people try to make us wrong, and a lot of times that is what makes us feel defensive, is someone's trying to make us wrong. And I still struggle with that, and I kind of just have to. They're entitled to their opinion. Their opinion doesn't have to be mine. That's fine, Amanda. If they think what I'm doing is stupid, that's okay. That is okay. Hi, Bev. My son came home from the hospital Friday from a serious car accident. Oh my goodness. I hope he's doing better, Bev. I was terrified I would stress eat, but I'm loving bacon and eggs, knowing the treats people brought him. Amazing job with that, because stressors like that are really, really hard, especially things like car accidents. You don't know what's going to happen until things start moving forward at the hospital. But I'm really glad that he's come home, because that means he's obviously doing better. And Scott and I will be thinking about you and your son. Judy, how do you make your coffee, and do you find caffeine makes you hungry? I've drank most of it. We do a squirt of vanilla extract. I get the pure, don't get the artificial, vanilla extract, a tablespoon and a half of heavy cream, coffee, done. My first cup, I have 2 drops of Lugol's, 2% iodine. My second cup, if I have one, I do not, because I only need 2 drops a day. Sometimes if I'm feeling spicy, I have some Ceylon cinnamon with the vanilla, so I have a cinnamon vanilla coffee. Scott does butter, because we discovered heavy cream makes him clear his throat a lot. Liquid dairy does not do well with him. He probably would do better with no cheese, but he loves cheeses, so he doesn't clear.
That's all we had last night. We just had the charcuterie.
We had a charcuterie because I went to go have Buffalo Wild Wings, plain Buffalo Wild Wings, y'all, because they cook theirs in tallow. But Scott got there and it was like 45 minutes past when he was supposed to pick it up, so he just canceled the order. And we had a charcuterie. So I had like some salami and cheese, and that's what I ate for dinner, because I'm like, oh well.
Some chorizo,
chorizo salami. Sausage. It was actually really good. Got it from Costco, y'all. It was probably more supposed to be for like taking to a party, because it was all like 8 different kinds.
Party in my stomach.
Party in your stomach. This is what I live with. Anyway, sorry, Judy. Fine caffeine makes you hungry. No, it does not make me hungry. I actually, 2 cups of coffee or 1 cup, I drink it first thing in the morning. We don't eat till 10 or 11, and I'm not hungry till then. Mary, 3rd week going strong. Woo woo. Knees are so much better.
Fantastic.
Jen, I have a question. When you first started eating carnivore, did either of you have any belching indigestion issues? Yes, I had problems before, and initially in the beginning. I had such bad GERD, gastrointestinal reflux disorder. I couldn't lay flat at night. I would aspirate, so I'd vomit, and then I would choke on the vomit, and I'd wake up with my airway constricted. Those were actually the scariest moments of my life, because you wake up dead out of your sleep and you cannot make yourself breathe, and you feel like you're suffocating to death, and it's a protective mechanism. Initially, when I first started, I had a little bit more indigestion, but in a few weeks to maybe 2 months, it went away completely. My GERD was gone pretty fast. And what it is if you've been eating a high carb diet, or you've been eating a low-fat diet, your body doesn't produce a lot of bile. It is not necessary to break sugar and carbs down. So then you start eating a lot of fat. Your body has to up the production of bile. And so what happens is, until your body realizes, oh, I'm consistently getting a lot of fat, it'll just make a little bit, right? And then as it realizes you're eating more, it'll start making more, and the bile salts bind with the fat to stop that indigestion. So if you try backing off a little bit for a little while on your fat intake. If you're eating a lot, back it off a little bit. Give your body a few weeks of slowly upping it, and I promise you it'll kind of go away. I will tell you, to this day though, tomatoes give me indigestion, period. Period, the end. Mab, he has a long road to recovery, broke his femur, thumb, and fractured a couple neck bones. He's 24 and we're back to the gym soon. Thankfully, because he is young, he will definitely get back. And recovering, man, the neck fractures are going to be the hard one. The femur is not, it's all painful. But I'm glad he wasn't hurt more and more serious where he wasn't able to come home. Do you think I can be successful, especially with weight loss, if I eat more salmon? For example, I have a hard time with steaks. Scott actually doesn't do very well with steaks. Most of you may or may not know, Scott has CP, cerebral palsy. It's a very, very mild. If you looked at him, you never would know. He just has a little bit more. Hopefully you're fine with me saying this.
Yeah, that's fine. He has this kind of motor control issues.
It doesn't affect anything like intellectually with CP. It's a motor control thing.
He had a lot more hair, and then it kept hitting my head so much. The hair's like, I ain't growing there anymore. You keep beating me up.
His mom actually, when he was a kid, had to tie his feet to a tricycle, and he had to do PT until you were 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So he's just more clumsy than you would expect him to be. Balance stuff. Anywho, what it has done is we noticed, we actually had a speech study done on him. I believe it's his left side. The muscles don't contract very well when he swallows because it's supposed to contract evenly as we swallow. So he has to masticate his food a lot. Steak is chewy. And so he doesn't do great with steaks. Choose other things, like go make that chuck roast recipe. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, it'll blow your mind. And it's easy to chew and swallow. But salmon is still good for you.
Salmon's great.
Get the wild, the wild caught salmon. Do not get the farm fed salmon. It is more expensive, but there is a lot of mercury and things in the farm fed ones. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and not only that, fish is great source. I mean, part of the reason why we have to do iodine drops.
I don't like fish.
Because we don't eat fish in our diet. But
because Amanda doesn't like fish.
You don't really have to have iodine drops.
If we were rich, I'd eat lobster, but we're not rich. So there you go. But as I said, Joey, just keep going forward and you will find your taste changes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's the way it's being cooked. Most steaks I do not like at restaurants. Y'all, like I've tried steaks a lot of places. They usually are overdone or they're flavorless or they're just bleh.
Yeah.
Scott's steak.
The chewiness of it. We went to a steakhouse to try it out, 6 months ago with your dad?
Oh my God. And got ribeye. It was expensive, y'all.
The most chewy steak we've ever had. And it's because they cut it wrong. They cut it with the grain, not against the grain. Mm-hmm. And so you can really screw that up.
That actually is a good point. And I don't know if anybody really talk about it. If you take a fork and you pull on the steak, you'll see the muscle fibers run a direction. You cut perpendicular to the muscle fibers because it does some of the chewing for you by cutting the muscle fibers shorter. Okay. For those of you that have chew issues like Scott.
Now, I also want to point out, because people are like, why is Scott always eating meat mush?
Because it's easy to chew.
Because it's easy to chew. We have I'll have a steak and I'm tired of chewing. I have half my steak, then I could chop it up and I put it into meat mush. She has some of her steak and I put that in meat mush and it's easy to eat.
Well, it's twofold. It's because Amanda doesn't like leftovers. It's a taste thing. I can taste when beef is old. I cannot stand the taste of old beef. Yeah. Melly.
Old. 3 days.
I can also taste, if we've had it in the deep freezer for a hot minute, I can taste that it's older beef. He thinks I'm crazy. Health is fantastic. I feel great. And I finally kicked the Mickey D's habit. Woo! Good job, Melly. I know you've been struggling with that. I am super proud of you. Marcia, love you both. Very inspirational videos. Do you think you will write a book someday? I actually would love to be honest. I do not love writing. So I'm going to convince that one to do it because he's actually very good at writing. He is.
We're good together as a team.
When I was
wordsmith together real well.
I went back to college and got a bachelor's degree in data analytics 5-6 years ago. I don't know, 5 years ago, something like that. And Scott was my paper proofer. He helped me get.
I got my business degree and I never read the books. I just wrote papers and I got A's on all my papers. I was like, well, I'm just going to wing it and write this.
Yeah. Leah, I had horrific acid reflux. I thought I would die. I think it's damaged my throat, and I always have a cough. I didn't get acid on Carnivore. I'm usually not one for going to the doctor. Like, I go every few months to get blood work and kind of to just prove to my doctor how things are going. But Leah, have you considered having a scope done just to see what kind of damage you've had, just to prepare? You had a mild amount of it, didn't you? When they did yours, because they did a scope. They did the scope. They did the swallow study and stuff. Because what can happen is, Behringer's. I forgot what it's called, but what happens is it can cause damage, and it will actually cause the lower part of the esophagus to start to contract because of the acid damage, and they can go in and stretch it out. Not that I'm suggesting it. This is just more informational, just to have an idea of how it is, because it will let you know in the future if you might have swallowing issues, exactly what it is. Just suggestions. Melly, total weight loss, 81 pounds. Woo woo.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Some aren't encouraging with fish, and claim ribeyes are the best. Beef nutrient density is better, but here's the thing. I'm a realist, and if it's not your thing right now, I would suggest trying a couple times a week at least to get some beef in. And if steak isn't your thing, chuck roast, ground beef, like these are still pieces of beef. Eat those kinds of things and don't worry about people's opinions about steak. Like, I love ribeye. It's one of my favorite cuts. But I've also eaten steak since I was a kid. My dad was a meat eater. Like, he grilled the best steaks on the planet. No offense to Scott. But he also used charcoal grill, of which I can never seem to do well with.
And, you can always, cook chicken in tallow.
She said she didn't really like chicken.
Okay. Or, whatever kind of meat, you can always
be willing to try different recipes, because that's the thing is I found a lot of times some meats I don't like. It's because they were never cooked properly, like in a way I liked them, or the spices, or, these kinds of things. Just be willing to, Ketogenic Woman, if you haven't watched hers, she super duper good recipes. I would watch her stuff. She has some really good recipes. Nisha has some too. Personally, I like stupidly simple recipes. Stupidly simple, because I don't enjoy spending time in the kitchen cooking. I just don't. It's not my thing. Sandy, you love the chuck roast recipe. I didn't like it before. Now I'm eating it more. So good. It's so good, isn't it? It's like my favorite. And you can, I need to be a little more experimental with some seasoning, because I keep using the Wasatch from the Redmonds. That is my favorite seasoning. Is that what you used today?
No.
Oh, bummer.
You did going through it too fast.
Did you use the smoked salt instead?
Yes, I did the apple pecan salt, lots of garlic, and onion powder.
But anyways, my brother-in-law is the best at seasoning stuff, but he never knows. He's like a little pinch of this, a little pinch of that, and it's like delicious, and he doesn't even remember what he put into it.
Oh, it makes it taste good as it's variety every time.
Probably. Judy, where do we find the roast recipe? It is on my YouTube under the recipe tab. It probably just says chuck roast recipe, something like that.
It's super easy. Oil it with avocado oil or
when
tallow.
He says oil, he means use fat.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have tallow set aside, then
avocado oil.
And then spice it.
You could use bacon grease. Yeah.
I mean, that's literally it. You just spice it and cook it.
The video is super quick and easy. Oh. Leah, I cook cheap steak better than a fancy restaurant. Yeah. And it's not worth it. That one place that we went, y'all, about passed out. I didn't ask how much it was. It wasn't on the menu. And that should have been my first indicator. How much were those steaks? It's like $100 for each of us. I about passed out when they gave us the bill. I about passed out.
Especially because we both had 3/4 of our steak left because we couldn't chew it.
No, I was just like chew, swallow. The taste wasn't bad, but it was the chewiest thing I'd ever eaten. Yeah. Melly, your suggestion on not taking the debit card out helped. Put little barriers. If you know, like, there are certain things that you just keep stumbling on, sit down. And again, y'all, I have no affiliation with this man. I'm going to talk to him someday. I have no affiliation with this man, but he talks about putting barriers in place and things like that. And the big thing is okay, I have a problem with, say, eating McDonald's, and there's various habits around that and tackling those habits. The book is awesome. Awesome. I'm struggling along since 150 today. The last 70 days were the best. I finally have no trouble staying on. If you struggle, keep at it. It will work eventually. Yeah. And it's just about finding the groove. And honestly, I think a big part of it is the mental component and just wrapping our heads around things. I mean, it is. Joey, I grew up on boneless chicken breast. Ugh, gross. It's amazing how hard it can be to do something as simple as switching to thighs. Haha. You know, if you like chicken breast, just add fat to it. Like, if that is your go-to, add butter, cook it, drown it in bacon grease, just cook with fat.
Go to the recipes tab, go find chicken cordon bleu.
Oh, beautiful
One
idea.
of my favorite chicken recipes.
That is the one recipe, y'all. I suggest do not use chicken thighs. I tried it and it was way too much fat. It ruined the taste of the recipe. I have a chicken cordon bleu recipe in there that uses chicken breast. Got to use chicken breast, and I'm not a fan of chicken breast. Let me tell you what. It is delicious, and the nice thing is we make it, and you can freeze portions of it, put it back in the oven to warm it up. Tastes just as good. And that is keto, carnivore friendly. Well, as long as you're doing dairy on carnivore. Made the roast, but had an arm roast instead of chuck. Loved it. What's the difference? What's an arm roast? What's the difference? Is there a fat content? I mean, obviously it's a different part of the cut. Deborah, if you know, I'd love to know. Where is the recipe at? Under the recipe tab on my YouTube. I got all of them under there. Speaking of which, we need to do the prime rib roast recipe. I think the footage is still on your phone.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, if you don't know that Fred Meyer / Kroger has got a sale for rib roast right now.
$4.97 a pound with a digital coupon, limit 1. But here, y'all, go to the butcher if you want, because they've cut it into 3 or 4 pound increments. Okay. Limit 1. Go to the butcher and say, hey, I want the uncut rib roast. It's not prime, it's choice, by the way.
Choice, yeah.
I want the uncut rib roast. That counts as your limit 1, and it's anywhere from 15 to 17 pounds. Okay, so if you want to get a lot versus getting stuck with their 3 to 4 pounds, go to the butcher. We went yesterday and they didn't have any uncut. We're going to have to go Monday because we have to leave immediately.
You have to go visit in the morning.
Yeah, we have to leave immediately after. But he said call the butcher, the grocery store butcher in the morning, and ask him to set it aside. So Scott and I both are going to get one. And rib roast cuts into ribeye if you want to, or you cook it as a roast, and it is doggone phenomenal.
Yes, I want to do that with Satch again. That was so good.
I mean, just doing the garlic powder, onion powder, salt crust was, which I still need to get horseradish that is not full of crud.
So the way we do the roast is I think the oven's at 475
for 30 minutes.
For 30 minutes.
No matter what size the roast is.
Gives you a nice crispy outside.
The crust is.
Oh, the crust is great. If you have a couple pound rib roast, it's big. So
we did a 3 pound the other day.
Yeah,
Worked perfectly.
Worked great.
We've done all the way up to 20 pounds.
Yeah, and then you just let it coast down to 250 for a couple hours, depending on how big of a meat it is.
225.
225.
225.
Yeah, and
you need to. The key with this is you have to have a meat thermometer, y'all.
Yeah.
It has to be one of the ones you insert and leave in because you don't want to be opening and closing the oven. We take it out about 118, cover it with aluminum foil, and let it rest for 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the size. And it finishes cooking because 120 is the bottom of medium rare. Or rare. Medium rare. Something like that.
Medium rare, the bottom is
medium
120.
Rare. Yeah.
High medium rare is 130. So it's 120, 130. So 125 is the sweet spot for medium rare.
We aim for 120. So we take it out at 115 to 118.
It's going to keep cooking a little bit depending on the size. We've had one, was it last Christmas?
John, my brother did it.
overdid it because he
He
let it go to like 124 or something, or 125, and it cooked into the 130s, even though he took it out.
Yeah.
So, but it's a great. We need to do that recipe too.
Christmas. Okay. For those of you who are going somewhere for Christmas or you're going to be doing Christmas dinner, get yourself a rib roast and make this. And I promise you will not want to eat any other kind of meat there because it's going to be like, ooh, it's not even worth it. Nothing tastes as good as this does. And it can be as simple as we did garlic powder, onion powder, salt.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
You can do pepper, but I keep forgetting to get white pepper, of which I should put it on the board because black pepper gives me a rash if I have much of it. That's it. And I will say, if you do a rib roast, you need to salt the crud out of the outside of it more than you think you do because it is a thick honker of a piece. I actually go back and add a little bit more salt on the side of it after it's been cut, but it's delicious. Judy, I'm trying to give up sugar-free gum. I like to keep my mouth busy. Any suggestions? What I would suggest is a bridge drink, whether it's going to be tea or coffee, or I would suggest water. That is what I would suggest, is keeping a cup with you at all times that you can just sip on it frequently. Even better is if you put some kind of element or something in it because, well, it's good for you, but also it just gives you a little bit of a boost. It keeps your mouth busy as you're intermittently drinking it. You get more water in you. And the benefit of bridge drinks is as you keep fluid in your stomach, you don't get as hungry as quickly as you do without it. So it's kind of like a multi-beneficial kind of thing doing that. I would start with that. But also, maybe instead of just trying to give it up cold turkey, say, I'm going to go 3 hours with it. And then if that goes well, okay, I'm going to go half a day with it. And that continues to go well for a few days. I'm going to go every other day or something. A lot of times we like to quit things cold turkey, but if it's a habit, it's something we're so used to that it's a shock to our system. And trying to drink the water is great, but it's not a habit yet. So we end up falling back to it thinking we're a failure. But the reality is it's something that we've done so long. Like what I was doing the other day. I was doing something and I just realized it was a habit. I didn't even realize it was a habit I had developed. But hanging your keys on the hook. It's just mindless. You come in the house, at least we have a key hook. I hang the keys and I'm like, where'd the keys go 10 minutes later? And it's just such an autonomic function now that it's such a habit I've done so long. It's like keys on hook. I don't even think about it. And that's what happens with these habits we've had for so long. We don't even think about them. Did you have something to say?
Well, I was going to say that, like, I didn't realize it for decades now, actually. Cup of coffee has been my habit for, something in my mouth. I just take a little sip. It feels like I'm putting something in my mouth, and that's what I've had. Now, for years before that, I was using heavy cream, sugary stuff.
Well, you're using chemical creamer, not heavy cream.
All kinds of crap. So my health is, but now I still have the same habit. It's something to drink, and it does keep something like, that feeling of putting something in your mouth and also in my stomach. That helps me. That's probably part of the reason why I've maintained
being skinny most of your life,
decent weight most of my life, because I don't eat that much. And also when I do eat, I'm a slow eater. So what happens is that my stomach receptors have time to receive, like, you're full, and then I'm like, oh, I don't eat as much.
I talked about, it'll be in tomorrow's video, and this might I don't intend it to upset people, but there's a lot of people who are very viciously for or against calories. And I talked about it yesterday because I was listening to a Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, conversation between Dr. Tro and the guy's name was Bow-Tied Ox. And the Bow-Tied Ox is all about calories in, calories out. Dr. Tro is all about low carb. They kind of were talking past each other, which I found kind of sad.
Yeah, it was kind of a difficult conversation.
It was a difficult conversation to listen to just because they were talking past each other. But I kind of got motivated and kind of heated just like listening to them talk and a lot of the misconceptions.
I'm going to jump out.
You're going to go make brekkie? Thank you, Lovey.
Love you all. Sorry, I gotta run.
He's going to make us breakfast, so we're not any later than we have been. Anyways, there is all of this argument about, calorie counting and things like that. The whole calories in, calories out, and it works and it doesn't work and blah, 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 blah. And my take on this is, they're saying bye. My take on this is calories are a construct of thermal energy that when you put food in, you pretty much put it in a water bath and how much energy it takes to break it down. Fundamentally, humans work on chemical, thermal, and mechanical energy. Calories themselves only take one of the three variables into the equation. However, at the same time, we have no other way currently to measure metabolic burn other than calories. But again, I don't believe calories in equals calories out. Like if you eat a calorie, you burn a calorie, because there's a lot of nuance. There's hormonal, metabolic levels, activity levels, genetics. All of this play a part into our energy burning. Okay. Bye, Melly. And what is so important to understand is energy consumption does matter. And I like to use the word energy because energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Like that's a fundamental of physics. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. If we consume energy, it has to go somewhere. We either use it, we store it. On carnivore, you don't poop much, so you're not defecating it out. And so I was just kind of listening to them argue about this. And the Bowtie Ox he's a bodybuilder. I don't think he's actually ever been overweight or anything like that. And he's like, if people just did calories in, calories out, you could do any kind of diet and lose weight. Well, technically on paper, that is true. That is true. Now, is it a 1-for-1? If I eat 1,400 calories, I'm guaranteed to lose X amount of weight. If I do this much energy burning, no. Because as I said, genetics, activity level, metabolism, illnesses, all of them play a role in it. And if it was a 1-for-1, you could take two people and get the same exact results if you controlled both sides. But the thing is you don't. One person might lose 5 pounds where the other person loses 1, even though they ate the same things and did the same activity. There's variables in here. And that's why I don't think calories in, calories out is a great method. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of people say, well, on carnivore, you can eat as much as you want. No, you can't. And no, we shouldn't either. It's not good to just eat endlessly. And I watched something because Kelly Hogan was talking about this last week, and she said something and it made a lot of sense. We people are addicted to the sensation of feeling full. Okay. And I'm like, it's right. I learned to eat everything on my plate. I learned feeling full was this sensation of stop eating. But Scott and I were talking about this last night, and I realized something. That's such a bad way to measure when to stop eating, because here's the thing. The sensation of fullness takes 20 minutes for those signals to reach the brain to say stop eating. Well, Scott and I have the same plate. Scott eats much slower than I do, okay? And here's the thing. In 20 minutes, he'll eat maybe 50% of his plate, while in 10 minutes, I'll eat all of mine. So here's the thing. I've consumed a crap ton more energy than he has, and Scott at 20 minutes is like, oh, I'm done eating, because the receptors had longer to get to the brain. So I consumed more energy faster. And then I end up overeating for myself. Yeah, it says calories in and calories out. We're not a closed system. Yeah, and but at the same time, when I say this, I don't want people to understand, because I know a lot of people are like, I'm struggling sometimes, I'm not losing weight. And it's like, this is why I suggest track what you're eating. It's not about calorie counting. It's not about hitting, I had to get 1,400 calories or less, or 18, whatever the heck the number those calculators spit out. But the reality is each of us do have a base rate that we need to be under to lose weight. Does it matter exactly what it is? No. Like, is it 2,201 calories for me? I don't know. I don't really care either. But focusing on eating until I'm no longer hungry. Okay. Like it's frustrating listening to these people argue about it. And the thing is why you can lose weight doing a high carb, low fat diet. The difference between that and low carb though, and here's the difference. This is just more about weight loss, is it is terrible doing a high carb, low fat diet. Why? Because you're on this roller coaster, constantly on this roller coaster of, I'm hungry. My body needs energy. I have these highs and lows with my blood sugar versus low carb. Your body gets ketones and it streamlines the process of pulling fat off your body. You no longer get that cycle. Plus, our bodies are more satiated. So you end up naturally eating less. Okay. So, like, I just want people to be really clear on this. It is very important to understand we cannot eat everything we want on carnivore. If you are stuck or stalled, take 2 weeks. Just take 2 weeks and measure what you're eating just as he. And I also strongly suggest having the conversation in your head. Am I eating to feel full? It took me months to learn. I stop at no longer hungry. I'm not full. I'm not hungry. It's like right in between there. And that is when I know to stop eating is I'm no longer hungry. And it's a weird sensation. I feel nothing when I know to stop. How do you slow down eating without feeling like you are forever chewing? Eat with your left hand. If you're right-handed, eat with your left hand. No joke. Seriously, switch your from your non-dominant hand when you eat. That will slow you down. It's like 30 or 40% will slow you down, especially if you're even worse, like left-hand eating. That'll help. But also, after I've eaten about half of my meal, I have this conversation in my head. Do I need this? Not do I want it? Excuse me. Not do I want it? Do I need this? Okay. And that helps me realize, okay, I still have deposits in Bank of Amanda. I still have deposits here. We're trying to whittle down the deposits. Do I need this? And most of the time the answer is no. And that's why I stop when I'm no longer hungry, not when I'm full. And two, for the people who have been binge eaters or just overeaten most of their life, we did not learn what eating a normal amount is. We just never did. So I don't trust my past habits of the amount of food of eating. Barb, my dog will get most of the meal if I do that. If you eat with your left hand. Try it though. I would be really interested to see how you do, Barb. Just sit real close to the table so if you knock it off. You could use your good hand to cut your food up and then just use the left hand to eat it. Yeah, eating with no distractions. The mindless eating, because that's what TVs, computers, all of those. It's just like, have you ever like sat down, you're like, I'm just gonna eat a handful of these chips, and next thing you know, you're like at the bottom of the bag because it's just this automatic function, hand to mouth, just constantly going. Jen, using the Carb Manager app to track my daily macros and exercise has been so helpful. Like keeps me in tune with the amount of food and fluid going in. I have been using, my brother-in-law had me use, let's see what it's called. Chronometer. This one. I've used my fitness pal before. I like this chronometer. I do the free version. I'm cheap. I have to say I'm surprised at how much I've enjoyed it because it just makes me a little bit more consciously aware of what I'm doing. Am I going to do it forever? No, but it was his request for setting up my gym stuff that I track my macros and stuff like that. But it's been insightful. Not that I'm trying to hit certain macros and things like that, but like yesterday, let's look. Yesterday I had, it's going to take a hot second. No, thank you. I ate, it says 1,174 calories. I didn't eat a lot yesterday, but I ended up having 6 carbs. Although this one counts carbs and eggs, but I'm just going to let it be. It just helps me. But the day before, so I didn't eat much that day. The day before I had 2,000. So just the varying levels, but also the day that I had more, I did physically a lot more. So it's just been kind of cool seeing that. And also it's been helping when I've been checking my ketones I was like 3.1 and the next day I was 2.3. And it's like, it's because I had a total of 16 carbs and things I just didn't think there were carbs in, like, cheese. I'm doing the free version too. Yeah, do it. I don't see a reason to pay for it personally. Hooray for the cheap people. My brother-in-law paid for it. I'm just like, nah, I don't need to do fasting. Oh, I actually had this thought process too. So from what I understand, Laura Spath had to do a lot of fasting for like her last 50 pounds or something like that. Most of you know I'm not a big proponent of fasting, especially for the binge eaters in this world. It is just relying solely on willpower. Something I realized is people will argue that fasting helps you lose weight, but then they argue energy consumption doesn't matter. But when you fast, you are consuming no energy. And so, like, you get benefits like autophagy and stuff. Don't get me wrong. There's some benefits to doing fasting. But I'm just talking solely in, like, the weight loss kind of thing. So just keep that in mind when a lot of people are like, my weight's stuck and then I fasted and I lost weight. Well, it's because you're not consuming anything. You're not adding energy to the bank, and the bank has to have, withdrawals for our body to function. Christopher, drinking plenty of water while eating will help stretch out the time too. I don't consume much straight water during the day, but I have about 20 plus ounces during my OMAD dinner. That's actually a good thing too. If you're having, in the beginning, you're having a lot of acid issues, I would not drink water because it'll dilute your stomach acid. So you're having a lot of indigestion. But once you get past that, this is actually a good technique to use because it makes your stomach feel fuller because you're adding liquid into it. I drink weirdly. I'll drink a lot here, a lot there, but I do, like Christopher, just inherently, I tend to drink a lot more with dinner, especially if we go out to eat. I drink cups of water. I don't know. I just do that. But yeah, water, which I haven't had any today. And I realized right after this, I got to do my 2 minutes on the elliptical before we leave because I am not giving that habit up. This is 12 days. I have been consistent doing it, and I'm super duper proud of myself. Today is a rest day from the workout, although when we come back, I will definitely debut the dogs. We just don't have time this morning. We're going to go play some fun nerd games down at Scott's friend's house. And yeah, so that's what we're going to do. All right, y'all. Any more questions? We are getting close to the end of things, and I've got a few things I need to do before I leave. I forgot, y'all. The giveaway. Let me go find that. The winner from the drawing of the giveaway. I had it set up and then I just completely brain farted on it. We'll see. S.K. Phillips. She is our winner. I will contact her from Instagram. Phipps. Whoops. I said Phillips, didn't I? Lordy. All right, y'all. It has been a wonderful hour. Happy holidays to everybody. I will work on... Oh, hi, Lynn. That's all right. I will work on doing the rib roast thing. Go get them ribeyes or the rib roast. Go get it. Okay. It's super duper. Lynn said that Safeway also has it on sale. It is kind of odd. People in Phoenix, in Denver have told me they've had the rib roast on sale. My mom is in Southwest Virginia. They do not. Well, they're kind of on sale. They were like $7 a pound for the rib roast, which is cheaper, no doubt. But go get your rib roasts. Go save some money. Cut them up. If you want to not have the rib roast, you just slice them up in like inch-ish thick steaks, and you got yourself ribeyes, right? Yum, yum. All right, y'all, I'm going to sign off, but please, if you have not read this book, get this book. I have literally no affiliation with this man. As I said, I would love to talk to him, but I have no affiliation with this man. Do it. Read it. I promise you it will change your life more than just carnivore too. And that's the thing. It's more than just carnivore. This will help you break the habits of like, I no longer doom scroll on Instagram. Why? Because I used a tiny habit and kind of redid my environment. So I no longer doom scroll on Instagram first thing in the morning. So these are the things that help our lives, y'all. Anyways, have a good rest of your week. And I will talk to you guys next Sunday. So it's Christmas Eve. I'll talk to you in the morning of Christmas Eve. Have a good week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, all.